Okay, well, good afternoon, Chairman Grisanti and Senator Gallivan. My name is Paul Drof. I am the Executive Director of the Niagara Falls Water Board. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to testify at this hearing. By way of background, the Niagara Falls Water Board is a public benefit corporation created in 2002. We have approximately 19,000 residential, commercial, and industrial accounts throughout the city of Niagara Falls and also in surrounding communities. The Water Board is a financially self-sustaining entity with an annual operating budget of approximately $25 million. Our revenues are generated through the sale of potable water as well as wastewater treatment services. Last year, the Water Board total water production was more than 6.6 billion gallons with a daily average of 18.2 million gallons per day. The Water Board owns and maintains nearly 550 miles of water and sewer lines throughout our service area. Chairman Grisanti, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for your leadership in holding this hearing to examine solutions to flowback water produced through the hydrofracking process. The proper treatment of flowback water is a key issue as New York State continues to vet the efficacy of permitting horizontal drilling and high-volume hydrofracking in the Marcellus Shale formation. Needless to say, it is imperative these materials be managed in a way that focuses first and foremost on public health and safety, as well as the protection of the environment and natural resources. The Niagara Falls Water Board has been closely following the DEC's draft regulation process, and in fact, we are preparing our comments for submission. We feel the DEC has done a thorough and responsible job of developing a framework for the safe treatment of flowback water and production water. The Water Board wholeheartedly supports this approach. As you know, the Niagara Falls Water Board operates a unique physical-chemical activated carbon wastewater system. The facility was built in the 1970s specifically to handle organic, electrochemical, metallic, and high solids waste stream from some of the country's largest industrial and chemical manufacturers, as well as remediation of Superfund sites within our service area, including the Love Canal. What this means, Senator, is that our facility has treated, is treating, and will continue to treat contaminants that are as complex and difficult as the contaminants that result from hydrofracking. Furthermore, the Niagara Falls Water Board has an approved U.S. EPA industrial pretreatment and enforcement program. We also have a long-standing U.S. EPA and DEC approved hauled waste program that regularly accepts chemical wastewater from treatment from throughout the region, not just from our service territory. The bottom line is that we responsibly handle heavy industrial waste as part of our day-to-day operation. It's what we do. Suffice it to say, the Water Board has a long history of treating chemicals and other industrial waste in compliance with applicable environmental law. The Water Board has met with DEC officials to discuss our capabilities and treatment processes. We have also commenced studies to evaluate our wastewater treatment plant's capabilities to properly and safely treat flowback water. Based on the information provided by the DEC to date, we have made certain conservative assumptions about the levels of treatment the Department will require for the constituents of concern, or the COCs. With that, we have conducted several bench scale studies targeting these constituents. The results have been encouraging. Our preliminary results demonstrate significant removals of these COCs. As you will see in these pictures, we have effectively pre-treated the flowback water before it is even treated in our unique facility. Another option to treating this pre-treated water may be to reuse it at the wellhead. This reduces the use of potable water for fracking purposes and does not require discharge to local waterways. The first photo you see shows water from a wellhead in Pennsylvania. It's the brackish colored water here on a 6-paddle stir. The second photo shows the initial flocculation of that water and the initial stages of cleaning it. The third picture shows the final product of the pre-treatment operation at our facility in our wastewater treatment plant. This, again, is pre-treatment before it even be introduced to the publicly owned treatment plant, just to make that this is a pre-treatment step. We eagerly await further guidance from the DEC as to the level of treatment needed to safely address the constituents of concern. In addition, we continue to assess the economic impact of treating flowback water on our operations. We are confident that once we know the mandated treatment requirements, we will be in a better position to assess the viability of our efforts to pursue this initiative, including options to build infrastructure and for reuse of the water at the wellhead, resulting in no discharge to local waterways. What is our interest in development of the Marcellus Shale? The state's decision to move forward with the exploration of natural gas in the Marcellus Formation presents a significant opportunity for the Niagara Falls Water Board. Our board believes that we may be poised in a unique position to provide a solution to the issues of properly treating flowback water from hydrofracking. Mr. Chairman, as the state senator representing parts of Niagara County, especially Niagara Falls, you have witnessed firsthand the decline in business and population in that region. The Water Board has been hard hit by this decline. We have been faced with significant losses due to the downsizing of the industrial base and the loss in population. We need to find new and additional revenue streams to make up for these significant losses. Marcellus Shale may provide the board with an opportunity to take advantage of an underutilized asset that is uniquely designed to treat complex waste such as flowback water. We see the development of the Marcellus Shale as a unique opportunity for the Water Board to offset these losses, stabilize the water and wastewater rates for our customers in our service area. We also see it as an opportunity to enhance and reinvest in our wastewater treatment facility and related infrastructure. In conclusion, drilling and exploration in the Marcellus Formation in New York is a unique opportunity for both the state and the Water Board. However, it must be done right. The regulations promulgated by DEC must ensure that the treatment of flowback and production water from the process of hydraulic fracturing will protect public health and safety and the environment, including our employees and those employed by the drilling and exploration industry. With proper regulation and focused upgrades, we believe the Niagara Falls Water Board wastewater treatment plant can treat flowback water and production water as an interim or long-term solution and may allow for the recycling and or recovery of treated flowback and production water to the well pad for reuse. It also provides an exciting opportunity for public-private sector partnership related to job growth and infrastructure investment. I would like to thank you for hosting this hearing. I appreciate the opportunity to testify before this committee, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Drof. Just briefly, the photos that you brought here. Now, this is flowback water that was taken from Pennsylvania?
That is correct.
Okay. And you're saying it's pre-treated. It's not gone through any sort of stage in your facility. It's just something that can you explain that a little bit? What you mean by the pre-treatment stage?
Yeah, we were looking at the possibility of the treatment of flowback water. We recognized the unique requirements of this, and as such, we've designed a pre-treatment facility to, one, handle material segregated from the main public treatment works, provide for a high level of treatment before it's even introduced to the rest of the facility. So we'd have the ability to regulate that particular flow outside of the publicly owned treatment works.
Do we know where it's got pre-treated, where it's showing clear? Mm-hmm. Do we know what chemicals are still in what seems to be clear water compared to?
Yes, we produced, looking for what they call the norms. We've looked for the barium, the strontium, and we also looked at turbidity, the total dissolved solids, and those items. We sampled the water prior and to the water afterwards and went through 136 priority pollutants that were done on that constituent of the water before treatment and after treatment. So we do have some results of where we could be.
Okay. But in the pre-treatment stages of right there, there's still chemicals that are in that water that looks clear. That is correct. That's not drinkable at that point.
At this point, no, it's not drinkable. This is a pre-treatment stage. It's done in a lot of industries to get to a stage before it could be discharged to a publicly owned treatment works.
Okay. Now, from the southern tier, where there's proposals for fracking and to give people who don't know, and we're considering where Niagara Falls is, it's quite a distance, and you have proponents regarding, there's estimates of how many trucks it would take to clear one well pad, be significant truck routes to get from wherever a potential well pad is up to Niagara Falls for potential treatment if you're able to meet whatever the guidelines that the DEC is looking at. What other alternatives do you have that would put you in let's say, a different position than a privately built facilities, so on and so forth.
Well, we are on approved truck lines. We have a corridor that's highly industrialized in Niagara Falls that's used to the traffic of trucks. And again, as New York State develops the fields, it's not going to be a lot of volume to begin with. They're going to have to crawl before they can even walk, and walk before they can run. So if it follows the Pennsylvania model, you're maybe going to have 8 to 10 wells in the first year. So it'll be a ramping up of the need for the treatment facility. Our facility is unique because not only are we on a truck line, we are also on a rail spur, and we have 3 rail spurs that enter the facility. We used to use it for handling liquid chlorine. We no longer use that as a disinfection method. So we can bring the material in tankage, which would be 90,000 gallons at a piece, versus a tanker truck, which is anywhere from 5 to 7,500 gallons. We would also propose that as we move forward in this, there is a brine pipeline that was developed for the hypochlorite business, which was the Olin DuPont facility, which originates in Batavia and actually enters into the city of Niagara Falls. Those rights of way still exist. If we're looking at a long-term solution and the removal of truck traffic and the capability of spills, we may want to look at looking at that as a future alternative to redevelop that pipeline for usage for hydrofracking water, to bring it from the wells and back to the wellhead for reuse.
Where does the pipeline actually go? I mean, I know it's in the falls, but where does it spread out from there?
It just goes from Batavia directly to the Olin DuPont facility at this point in time. I can give you a trace of where it goes.
So you would need significant infrastructure to expand that pipeline to other areas, especially in the southern tier or southern part of New York.
That would be correct, or it could be a truck head that all the trucks would go to one pinch point. Those trucks then can be offloaded and regulated by the DEC before it's entered into the pipeline. So you could have a pinch point before and at the end of the pipeline to make sure that the material that was introduced is the same material that comes out at the end of the pipeline.
Now, you're saying in Niagara Falls that you have certain federal requirements that have already met, or certain that allows you to proceed forward. What makes your treatment facility different from the private ones that are being built, let's say in Pennsylvania?
Well, we're very similar. We're different from most facilities. 99% of the facilities throughout the United States are biological in nature, and I think it's been discussed before that those treatment facilities are maybe inadequate to handle this. Niagara Falls, because of its industrial past and legacies, has developed a physical chemical wastewater treatment plant, which is made to take this material. We also use activated carbon to remove the organic materials that may be another issue there. Since we have this facility, the type of chemicals that come in, such as the high solids, the metals, do not affect the biological biomass to achieve treatment because we have none of that existing. So that's what makes us unique. We are basically a large-scale facility that's underutilized. We currently are a 48 MGD, or million gallon per day facility that's running about 25 million gallons a day. So again, it's an underutilized public utility that would take some, as you said, investment to make it better, but we feel that it's being a viable alternative than the biological facilities that are there.
So you're only running at half a capacity right now?
That's correct.
What are some of the chemicals that you mentioned Love Canal, there's other things. What are some of the chemicals that you've actually treated there before?
Well, we have a whole, our permit is quite extensive that was issued to us by the DEC along with the Joint International Commission and the Canadian government because we discharge into an international waterway. We monitor for volatile organics, semi-volatile organics, heavy metals, a lot of the priority pollutants. We're also required to do toxicology testing for both vertebrate and invertebrate species to make sure that our discharge does not affect the biota in the receiving stream. So we are under very strict guidelines. We currently also have a headworks analysis and a rail system which looks at what we can accept at the head of the plant, what those volumes would be, and how it would affect us at the end. We also report any trucked waste to the DEC through the Part 364 permitting process that was mentioned by the DEC. We currently give the state all that information once a year of what we've accepted, volumes, and where they originated. So
are you fully familiar with the chemical makeup that's in the flowback water that's coming back from these sites?
We know of one particular type. That flowback water can change. The chemicals or the constituents are maybe unique to each type of drilling. We're hoping now, as the process becomes more transparent, that those amounts will be available to us to look at and be able to treat them on a better basis. Again, it's a hauled waste. It has a constituency that's much more predictable than what's being discharged to us by the various industrial sites throughout the city, which, again, by themselves may be easily to treat, but when they're put into a pipeline and have time to react, they can. What we react at the head of the plant is considerably different than what the plants are discharging. So I think we have the experience and the background to be able to look at this and do a good job at it.
So you're saying it's not so much as the chemicals that are added to the water and sand mixture to do the fracking. It's once that process underground actually takes place, that additional chemicals, that reaction causes a combination of additional chemicals that come back in the flowback water? That
could be a possibility, that you'll be creating things that you weren't intending to, and that's why we would look at each load coming in, pre-screen it before it's accepted to make sure it meets the criteria for treatment.
Okay. Well, they had mentioned, I think the Deputy Commissioner had mentioned that it's got to be disclosed what the chemicals that are being used. And this particular water that you got from Pennsylvania, were the chemicals disclosed to you as to what they were, and then you could figure out exactly what you got rid of? Or are you at a stage where, we still need to do additional work to get rid of additional chemicals that are in the water? I mean,
this was a very preliminary stage. We received flowback water from one or two well sites. We moved that together. We analyzed that since we didn't have the information of what the raw feed water was, so that's why we did an entire scan for priority pollutant and all the constituents that we had seen in the literature. Again, we treated and looked at various compounds that we considered to be the marker compounds. We found the best treatment that we could render, and at that time we did another scan to look at all those priority pollutants at the final end to see, one, are they there? Two, did we remove those? And how successfully we were with removing those. And that was a preliminary bench test. It was not the next phase would be to look at a pilot test of some size in order to ramp it up to a larger size to see whether or not the assumptions that were made during the bench testing translate to an actual pilot facility.
Okay. So it's still a work in progress until, like I said, you need to know what the chemicals are.
We need
to make sure you got rid of them all.
Yes, Senator. We need two things. One, to know what the chemical disclosure is, and two, to see what the state, the DEC, will come as their final targets of where they'd like to be for the treatment. Then we can look at, can we achieve those treatment goals, at what cost, and whether or not that is a model for us to proceed.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
What do you do with the contaminants that are removed?
Currently, right now, the contaminants...
Well, in this project that you did here.
Right here, they were sent back to Pennsylvania for disposal. It was only about, I think we only received 5 gallons of flow.
This water that you got, or that you did in this project, how was it upon receipt or at your last stage where the water is clear? Mm-hmm. How is that different, or how does it compare to the chemicals that you had been treating over the years from the Superfund, like the Superfund site?
It's very applicable to what we've seen in the past historically and what we continue to see today.
Again, in this project, you go back to your experience with the Superfund chemicals, what the plant was built for, and now we look at this particular project. Is there anything that stands out that is so different than what you're equipped to do?
Well, we're also,
or any more problematic than what you've done in the past?
We're concerned about the norms, the normally occurring radioactive materials, to see whether or not we'll be concentrating them in the coagulation process. So we're looking at that. We're also concerned with the total dissolved solids, how that would affect the waterways and those high volumes, because since they're dissolved, they're very difficult to remove from the solution. We've done an excellent job with turbidity, excellent job with suspended solids. We've done a good job with the barium, strontium, and those were the compounds that, whether or not it'd be effective to treat. And that's how we decided that we'd like to proceed to the next stage, because we had success in treating those. Again, our concern is we need to know what New York State is going to require for us to do. Based on that, we would remodel the original bench scale and then try to translate that into a pilot plant to see if it's effective.
Okay, thank you. Good, Mark.
But at the present time, until those models are put in place, you really can't go forward on it because you don't know exactly what's going to be required from the DEC.
That's correct. And we've never accepted fracking water at this point in time. This was just a laboratory scale exercise to see whether or not what the material was consisting of, whether or not we could render treatment and how effective that treatment would be. Recognizing the fact that we'd like to use it as a pre-treatment system, that we'd have to make some investiture into our structures, and that we'd have to spend money to do it correctly. What we don't want to do is dilute the material. We'd like to treat the material so that there is no question as to what happens to the constituents as they drop out.
Is there any estimate of what the cost would be to, if you had to upgrade your facility to actually treat the water? Is there any talk about a cost analysis of what it would cost to treat?
Well, initial figures, of course, they vary quite a bit. Is that if we would look at about 1 million gallons of treatment per day to put in holding facilities and improvement to the rail lines and all the other items, would be about $5 to $6 million for a basic pre-treatment facility prior to introduction to our regular wastewater facility.
We got you. Okay. All right. I appreciate you coming. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving the testimony today.
Thank you very much.
Catherine here?
You gentlemen have copies, right? Yeah, great.
I do.
Wonderful.
This is